It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today we are taking a look at Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack here is a two-player game in which one player is playing Jack the Ripper and the other player is a detective trying to apprehend them. This game I have right here is a brand new printing of Mr. Jack, and in fact this one is a special printing celebrating the 10th anniversary of the game's original release. So, what's new in this release? Well, the artwork is all new for one thing. All of the artwork has been overhauled, done again, and there's a couple of tweaks to the gameplay itself. But before I get into those, at the end of the video, let me give you an overview of how the game works so you get an idea of how it operates, and then I will see you on the other side. Alright, here we go. So here's what the game looks like set up and ready to begin. We are going to have one player playing a detective trying to catch and trap Jack the Ripper, and the other player is playing Jack the Ripper, and they are going to be attempting to win by either escaping from the district here out of one of these 4 exits in the corner, or simply running out the time and winning that way, okay? The Jack the Ripper player has already shuffled these up and grabbed one face down, and that is which of the characters they are pretending to be. So that's the character that the detective must figure out and catch. Every round plays out in basically the same way. We are going to take 4 of these cards, play them out face up, and then the players are going to take turns utilizing those characters to manipulate the board. Every character, when you use them, is going to move on the board, and then usually they have some special power that goes with that, okay? I'll give you a closer look at what the powers are in just a little bit. So, let's say for the first round, Jack the Ripper is going to pick one of these, and they are going to utilize that character. So let's say they pick this one, they move that character on the board, and they are going to take a special power. I'll talk about that later. Then the other player, which is the detective, would take one, utilize that character, and then take another one and utilize that character, and then it is back to Jack the Ripper. So that is to say, the player going first in the round will take the first character out of 4, and then the last one, the other player taking 2 in the middle, okay? So that's basically how that operates. Movement on the board is fairly straightforward. The characters are going to be moving on the alleys, which are these slightly lighter spaces, and there are also these manhole spaces where a character can go in one and come out of another one for a single movement point, so that's important to understand as well. At the end of the round, the Jack the Ripper player is going to make a very important declaration. They are going to say if Jack the Ripper, the character that they picked at the beginning of the game, is seen or unseen. And then they would flip this card to match, unseen or seen. And then the detective is going to eliminate every character that is the opposite. And so if the character is seen, then I could eliminate all of the unseen characters. Now what does that mean, seen or unseen? Well, very simple. If a character is next to a lamp on the board, they are seen. They are lit. Anybody could look and see them. Or if a character is next to another character, these two seeing each other means that they are seen. If a character is neither one of those things, so this character here has neither a lamp next to them, nor is next to another character, they are unseen. Okay? So that's basically it. And so once that declaration is made, some characters are possibly flipped face down, which eliminates them as being suspects. They have the same character on the back, but grayed out. And we play another round. After the first round, and these 4 cards have been used, we use the next 4 for the second round. And then for the next round after that, we simply gather them all up again shuffle them up, and grab a random set of 4 and utilize those. At the end of the first 4 rounds, some of these lamps are going to fade out, and it tells you right there on the little score timer, and they are numbered so that you know which ones go out. So number 1 at the end of the first round, number 2 at the end of the second round, and so on, making it easier for the Jack the Ripper character to be in darkness, and they can only escape from the district out of one of these exits if the previous time they declared if they were seen or unseen, they were in fact unseen. That's the only time that they may escape. If they want to win otherwise, they simply have to run out the time. Here we have Jeremy Burt, who moves between 1 and 3 spaces and then must move a manhole cover. They can in fact do this before or after they move. There are 2 covers that cancel manholes, meaning that no player can go down them or come back up from one of those. They would take this from one of the 2 spots it is on the board and move it to a different one, covering that one up. This player does a very similar thing, but they do it with the street lamps. They would take a street lamp from somewhere that's lit and move it to somewhere that is unlit. And again, they can do that before or after they move. Here we have Inspector Lestrade, who would, before or after they move, they can change one of these police cordons. There is 2 of these, and they cancel exits. So you have to move them, and you would take one and move it to a different place on the board. And that means Jack the Ripper cannot escape out of one of those that is cordoned off. Here we have Sir William Gall, who is a magician, and they either move up to 3 spaces or utilize their special power, which is anywhere they are on the board, they may trade spaces with another character. That's his special ability. It's either or, okay? Here we have Miss Stealthy, whose special ability is that she moves up to 4 spaces, and she can go through buildings. And so if she was here, let's say, let's put her right there, she could go 1, 2, 3, 4. So she can go through things, and as long as she doesn't end up inside of one of the structures, she can cut clear across them, up to 4 spaces. Here we have Sergeant Goodley, who is able to, before or after he moves himself, blow his whistle and attract 3 points worth of characters. Basically, you can have one character come 3 spaces closer, or you can spread it out among 3 characters, each moving once, however you want to do it. This is Sherlock Holmes, who, after moving, would draw one of these leftover cards and take a look at it. Now, this is very different depending on whether it is the Jack the Ripper player who sees this or the detective. Jack the Ripper is simply removing information from the game. But the detective, looking at one of these and knowing, hey, it is not that person, gives them some very vital information where they can hopefully start to get extra information as to who Jack the Ripper is not. Okay? And finally, we have Watson, who has a lamp. And after they move, they can point that lamp. It has a little arrow there to let you know which way it's pointing. And anybody in that path of the lamp is lit, even if they would normally not be lit. And so, let's say they're there and this character is here. Even though they are not next to each other and this character is not next to a lamp, they are lit. It is important to note that Watson does not illuminate himself with the lamp. So in this scenario, Watson is not seen, okay? And that's basically it. Continue playing, deducing who the character is, eliminating possibilities until either one of the players win or all 8 rounds run out, and in that case, Jack the Ripper wins. And that is how you play Mr. Jack. So first things first, do I like the game? Yes, I do is the answer to that. I like it very much. In fact, it's one of my favorite games of all time, in my top 100. And I'm talking about the original printing here, not even this one. So how does this one stack up compared to the original? I think it's an improvement. I do, and I think it's not necessarily that it's the artwork. The artwork in this is wonderful, but so is the original. And yes, if you look at them side by side, you'll see that the artist, Piero, who is the same artist from the original, has grown as an artist. His technique just keeps evolving, and the game is wonderfully done, very evocative, gorgeous. But so is the original, really, I thought. But the thing that makes it a better game is that the game has been balanced a little bit more so that both sides have a closer chance of winning, and that it feels more dynamic now. There are more manhole spaces where the players can jump around the board a little bit more. The threat of Jack the Ripper escaping from the board is more problematic now. It's more imminent. And so just the dynamics in the game have really been stepped up, I think. Everything else is basically the same, but the way the setup has been shifted a little bit and the way the spaces have been tooled with a little bit, I think does make it a better game. And that's to be expected. It's a game that now has been played and scrutinized for 10 years. And so I'm glad it was revisited and tweaked a little bit to make it an even more interesting and solid game. And so, big thumbs up from me for Mr. Jack, the new 10th Anniversary Edition. If you never played the first one, should you get this? Absolutely no questions asked. If you have the first one, should you go out there and get this one? And I think that depends on how you feel about the original. If you ever felt that the game had a balance issue, then this, I think, might fix that for you. If you always had that issue with the whole, I need to play and then switch sides and play again because one side is more likely to win than the other. But if you never had that seem like a problem to you, then I don't think you necessarily need this. It is very close to that original printing of the game. The only thing I have a minor issue with in this game, and this might be resolved in the future, is that there is an expansion for this game that I wish they had either A, put in the box with new artwork, or that they would reprint with this style of artwork, because mixing the expansion with this printing is going to lead to a slight mismatch there in the styles that they were drawn in, you know. But that's a really minor thing, and it's not even in this box, so it's not a big deal. But that's one thing I would love to see from the company, a redone expansion, you know, or I really wish they would have included it, actually. But that's it. 2 thumbs way up from me, and that is Mr. Jack.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.